Okay, it's been raining here, so hopefully we can get some work done today without getting chased in. It's looking like it's going to rain again a little bit this afternoon, and probably on and off for the next 2, 3, or 4 days. So we'll see how that goes. But right now you can see as we walk in a little closer that we have scooped out these 4 back beds. Scoop them out actually even below the line on the inside line of the 2x6s. So it's a little deeper than that. It's more like about 2x8 deep. And what we're going to do is we are going to make a pooling system here. We're going to put some linings, some plastic, and then we are going to have pools of water in here. And what we're going to do is kind of a modified rain gutter grow system, kiddie pool system, where the water is level is going to be maintained at a couple of inches probably in here. And then we're going to have grow bags so that we'll get good air root pruning. We will get maximum growth from our plants without having to have all the problems associated with soil. We won't have a lot of soil-borne bug problems. We won't have inconsistent watering. A lot of problems will be solved with this, I think. So that's what we're going to experiment with today or the next day or so as we put this together, depending on what the rain allows us to do. And as you can see, there is a frame here. This frame was what we put a cloche or a kind of a row cover over, if you will. And that was going to remain because it does a great job with tying tomatoes to it. As the tomatoes get about 2 to 3 foot tall, we tie them on to this structure, and that helps give them extra support as they're climbing up the strings or the wires, as the case may be. And so that will remain, and we'll just kind of secure that in with the system. So I'll get busy, and I'm going to put down some landscape fabric first, and to kind of cushion the surface against rocks and things like that. And then we'll put down a couple layers of plastic and come back and show you what we've done. Okay, just thought I'd do a quick moment here on what we're going to need for this project. It's always a good idea to lay everything out, make sure you have what you need. But for this project, first thing we're going to do is get out some landscape fabric. Okay, and then of course, obviously, we're going to need some plastic. All right, this happens to be a 10 by 25 foot piece of plastic in a roll. We will have to trim it to fit because obviously we don't need anything 10 foot wide. And then we will need a staple gun. And of course, make sure you have staples. Then also, of course, we're going to need some scissors, or you could use a box knife or some other form of cutter for both your landscape fabric and your plastic. And then, of course, the handy dandy measuring tape, so you know how long it needs to be. And then, of course, you need tape, duct tape, Gorilla tape, some kind of outdoor tape that has some weather resistance and resilience. And that's pretty much what you need. The tape will be to put patches on the plastic and then staple into the tape. What I found is that when you staple just into plastic, the staples pull through very easily. But if you take just a little square of tape where you're going to staple on through the plastic and put that down first, it lasts a whole lot longer and gives you a whole lot less trouble. That's just a little tip or a little trick if you like. So we'll be back when we get some of this in place, and hopefully it won't rain on us. I'm going to be kind of coming and going with the video because I don't want to leave the camera out here too long. It's about 100% humidity right now. Okay, just thought I'd come back and show you the next step in the process. And as you can see here, what I've done is put down a piece of landscaping fabric, and just to hold it in place, I've stapled around the edges, kind of turned under the edges a little bit to kind of configure it to the size. This particular bed worked really well. I didn't have to cut it lengthways, only at the ends, in order to make it fit this thing. And what I did was I just took a stone and put it in each corner to kind of weight it down so that so that it forms a nice box shape. And I'll do this for the rest of these beds, and then we will put our plastic over that, and we'll be ready to fill the pools with water. All right, be right back. Okay, just wanted to update you on the progress with the Rain Gutter Grow System kiddie pool variation system that we're putting in the garden, in the back bed, along the south side, along the wall. In the cover of the garage, on the concrete, which is a good place to cut large pieces of plastic, I have cut the plastic. And this is the kind of plastic it is. I actually bought this roll last year, and I usually buy the plastic from Lowe's because I like the configurations that they carry, and their prices are probably the best on the type of plastic I'm looking for. This is not UV treated plastic now, so keep in mind, my expectation is that this plastic will last out there in the sun about 8 to 9 months. Maximum. That's about what it's going to do. I tested this under very rigorous conditions in central Kansas, where you have lots and lots of sun, and the wind is pretty much an average of 10 to 15 to 20 miles an hour all the time. It's somewhere in the mid to upper teens pretty much all the time there. It's not great plastic, but it is really, really cheap. And if it's one of those things where I only expect this to operate this way for this season, next season we're going to do something else entirely, but that's a whole nother video. But this plastic came, it's the Husky brand is what it was last year. The year before that, Lowe's was carrying Blue Hawk, and this year it's called Barricade. So I don't know if it's the same company and they just keep changing the names or what. But as you can kind of see here, the plastic is 3.5 mil. It's 10 foot by 25 foot. And that worked out really good because I had 4 beds there, 4 separate sections in that one long run. And when I cut the 10 foot in half to 5 foot, and then when I cut the 25 foot into 4 different sections, 2 sections were slightly longer than the other, 2 slightly shorter, it worked out exactly to using this 10 foot by 25 foot roll, except that I was able to cut out enough sheets to do 2 layers on each one. So it's actually going to end up being, the total will end up being about 7 mils thick. And if you go to the Lowe's site today, I went ahead and looked to see what the price was, so you would know. The roll that is 10 foot by 25 foot, and it says it's only 3 mils thick, so they've Skyped a little bit off your thickness there, but the price of that roll is about 12 bucks. Now, it's going to vary depending on where you live. You put in your zip code, they're going to charge you more or less depending on what the cost of living is and that they've calculated that the traffic will bear in different markets. But that's what our price is here in the Midwest. So for 12 bucks plus the tax, you can do what we're doing with a 10 foot by 25 foot roll. Now, if you wanted the actual 6 mils thick, that would cost you about 25 bucks for the same 10 foot by 25 foot roll. So anyway, I bought this last year, had it laying around, had not used it as a brand new roll, still in the bag. So at least it was no money out of my pocket for that. So the plastic is cut and it's ready to go in 4 sections. So when it stops raining, I'll be out there working some more. Now right there you can see I've got some, it's that two-sided, it's got foil on both sides, and has bubbles in the middle. It's a foil insulative material. It's kind of like packing material, but it's actually used in construction for different purposes. And I had that stuff lying around. You can see it's kind of taped together in some spots. So it's from an old project and I'm repurposing it, so I didn't feel too bad about using something that expensive, since again that's no money out of my pocket at this point. It's already been paid for. But I've got enough of that I can have this bubble, and let me pull it over here where you can kind of see it. But I have this bubble material with the foil on it that I'm going to set in the bottom of the beds to add extra cushion, so that 7 mils of plastic doesn't run up against a rock or something like that, especially with the weight of the plants, where the plants actually are sitting in their bags. that weight might push down a little bit hard. So I've already got the landscape fabric out there. That'll keep stuff from coming up underneath between the plastic here and the bubble wrap over there, and should work out really, really well. So it's just a matter of fighting the weather and getting that done. So just thought I'd give you a quick update, and I'll be back when I can. Okay, we've got the padding put into all of the boxes, and I also have a rock there to hold it down just in case the wind tries to take it before we can get the plastic on. And it's starting to rain again a little bit, so I'm gonna have to wait some more, so be back when I can. All right, it's been a really rainy day today still, but struggling along to get this project going. As you can see, I've got the plastic kind of generally laid in place, and I've been filling the troughs with water. What that does is it kind of presses the plastic into the crevices and makes sure everything's set right before I tuck in a lot of the rest of the edges and then start fastening it down with some staples on top of the Gorilla tape that I'm using. This last one right here, that's kind of what it looks like as I'm just kind of laid it out there generally in the right place. And then I've got a lot of extra play in it, so I'll be tucking a lot into the back of the bed and between that and the building. And so I'll be very shortly putting this project to bed for today. Hopefully I can get this thing stapled down before too much longer. It just now stopped raining. I've been working in the rain, but couldn't bring the camera out here because I just don't want it to get that wet. So as you can see, we're going to have some cool, nice night. I've already covered up the sweet potatoes. They don't like 40-degree weather all that much, but they're already putting out leaves, which is amazing that they're leafing out this quickly with the cool nights we've been having. About every other night it's been down in the 40s. Every other night has been down only in the 50s. So it's been, that's Fahrenheit, but anyway, that's kind of the way we're working right now, kind of the situation as we have it. Got a few other things covered. I've got some stevia in buckets that are starting to come back, but they had to be covered because they don't like that weather. But the chard and all the other stuff, most of the stuff we have in the garden, very cold tolerant. Peas, spinach, garlic, strawberries. We've already got ripening strawberries coming in, so that's really nice. All right, one last look at this project as it stands right now on this very rainy, dreary day. And as you can see, we have everything secured down. We have water in the pools. Everything seems to be just fine from that standpoint. And we will, before long, as weather and time permit, we will be planting out the tomatoes, and we might plant some peppers in front of them as well. So we'll kind of see how that goes, or maybe we'll do lettuce and let the tomatoes shade them a little bit. Hello everybody, I'm back again. I just want to take a quick moment in between the rain to show you our progress here with the rain gutter grow system variation on the kiddie pool. These again were beds that were just normal beds here along the south wall here. And what we've done is dug it out, lined it, filled it with water, about 1.5 inches or so of water. And we have grow bags here from Larry Hall's Grow Bag Garden Systems. These are 3-gallon bags with the handles. They're the 3 to 4 year bags, so we can use them over and over again. And we have those filled with our potting mix, not soil, but potting mix. It's basically very much along Larry's standard recipe, so you need to watch his video on that if you haven't already. And we have some metal stakes. My wife picked up these. Carla picked these up from a garage sale or estate sale, and I forget, I think she paid 50 cents for the whole bundle or something. So we've got those to get the plants started, and then when they reach the top of this, we will be taking them up to metal hooks that will hook off of the gutter. and we'll run strings, we'll run strings down there and attach to the tops of the poles, and take these indeterminate tomatoes up from there, because they will grow all the way up to the gutters. And so we have the kiddie pool with the grow bags in them. And then if we get down here, you'll see we also are experimenting with laundry baskets. So we've got a couple of laundry baskets here that have been lined with breathable landscape fabric. You always want to make sure it's breathable, not just plastic, so that the water can permeate and self-water the plants. And then of course we also have a standard bucket down here that has drainage holes in the bottom, but it's actually not bored out for air pruning or anything. And we'll just kind of compare and see how all that goes, and we're going to do a direct comparison here. It's not going to be very scientific, I admit, but that's okay. Here in front, what we're going to do is, you look around, there's plenty of room in front of here for 1 gallon grow bags. And we're going to take 1 gallon grow bags and line them all up here in front of the tomatoes. And what our plan is to plant lettuce there. And we believe, and we're hopeful, that we can get the timing such that when the lettuce is up and when it starts to get a little warmer, that the tomatoes may shade the lettuce a little bit, and we might be able to get an extension on our lettuce. And we'll see how that works and kind of keep you up to date as we're going along on that. The rest of the garden's doing great, but I just wanted to show you what we've done so far. We will be mulching these in with some straw around the tomatoes themselves, so that the top of that won't be bare. We will not be filling this full of rock. We're doing this on the cheap, so we'll be using some mosquito dunks to drop into the water to keep the mosquitoes from being bad. This is not a self-watering system right here. We're doing that on the cheap too. We'll be keeping the pool filled, and I'm going to put in a little colored tape markers as to what the level's supposed to be, so I can easily look at them and tell and fill them up with a hose. Also, these do have drainage holes. I'm not really sure they're going to be necessary, even though we've had some really good rain here. The pool has not increased any significantly in water level. That's simply because of the same overhang that we're going to hang the strings from the gutter to tie the tomatoes up when they get higher than these poles. That same gutter, that same overhang, really pretty much prevents water from dripping directly down. Fortunately, this is a southern exposure, so we'll get plenty of sun, but it doesn't get excess rain, and that's probably just as well. I'd rather have too little rain and have the self-watering system take care of that than have too much rain and have to always worry about, is it going to drain off fast enough through the drain holes. So that's kind of where we're at, and we'll be back just as soon as we have something else to show you. Well, we're back one more time just to show you the pool system in operation. We've had these plants in for about a week now, and everything seems to be going along just great. There is actually a total of 13 tomato plants in the pool. There is 8 peppers, and I believe about 15 bags that are going to have lettuce in them eventually. So we have the peppers. These are sweet peppers, Marconis and Black Beauty Bells, and then a variety of tomatoes, indeterminate tomatoes that'll climb the poles. And we've got all those mulched in. That pretty much wraps it up for the pool conversion system on this back bed. All the other beds are kind of standard square foot gardens at this point, although we have quite a few buckets and baskets sitting out as well. So this is Chris here in the Ozarks. Until next time, happy gardening.